Welcome to the Speaker Salon. I am Alana, and today's episode is all about finding your signature color. Let's get started. All right, interesting. Personal branding and color psychology are very intertwined. And if you haven't thought about what your signature color is, well, I'm inviting you now to start thinking because it's actually very surprising. There's science and research behind how people perceive you based off of the colors attached to your online presence, what you wear, your website, your social media, all of that. And I'm going to share with you, there was a study in the Journal of Business Research by Hall and Hanna. This was in 2004. And they found that people judge credibility, professionalism, and trustworthiness of a person or brand within 90 seconds. And color accounts for up to 62 to 90% of that snap judgment. So they will decide if you are credible before they ever read a word, hear your argument, look at your data, and it can override your credentials. You might have a PhD, but if your color is off, then they might not think that you're competent. So if you're an expert, if you're a thought leader, this stuff matters. So for example, red. Red increases dominance, but it also increases the threat perception. So athletes wearing red were statistically more likely to win competitions than those wearing blue or other colors. Red triggered the subconscious dominance cues, even when the skill was equal. But it increases perceived aggression, raises anxiety in the observers, and lowers perceived warmth. So for your brand, red works if you're trying to communicate power, urgency, alarm, revolution. But if you are a healer, a caretaker, if you're trying to build trust, it can backfire. You might not want to use red in those instances. Blue is trusted. This is why banks use blue, navy blue. You're trying to build trust, then blue is for you. Even when the source is lying, they say people trust you even if you're lying. So interesting. Blue environments increased trust and creativity, while red increased attention to detail and error detection. Shocking result. Participants were less critical of information presented in blue context. So if you don't want people like scrutinizing and getting all up in your stuff, maybe you want to use blue. I'm using blue. I didn't do that on purpose. I just love this color. So banks, hospitals, tech companies, their default is blue. Twitter, blue. Whistleblowers often avoid blue once they want people to question systems. So if you want people to question systems, don't do blue. Do red. Scrutiny is red. Credibility is blue. Black signals authority. Tony Robbins uses black. Black is considered the most black and white is like elegant, but it also comes with like moral severity. In other words, they don't trust you as much and they want to like punish you for being too severe. Like they think you're bad. So sports teams wearing black were penalized more frequently, not because they played dirtier, but because they were perceived as more aggressive. So officials unconsciously enforced rules more harshly based off of uniform color alone. If you're a sports team, you don't want a black uniform. But it does, if you're trying to convey authority, and I think this might be important for women, if as a woman in business, nobody's taking you seriously, showing up in black says that you have authority, says you have power, says that you're serious. If you show up in black instead of hot pink, they're going to take you more seriously. Most people get that. However, if you're trying to soften yourself, maybe you don't want to wear black because it's like you don't have mercy. Like people kind of think that you don't have a capacity for softness and mercy. Something to think about. White, on the other end of the spectrum, white signals moral purity. So there was a study, Sherman and Clore, in the journal Psychological Science. People exposed to white environments judged moral transgressions more harshly. So white doesn't just feel clean, it feels more moral. So people, if you're doing like a lot of white in your branding, this psychologically in the observer communicates that you have elevated ethics, that you are like right and just like morally superior. But it can feel cold and it can feel like those people are judgmental. So if someone is all decked out in white, I, as the observer, might think, oh, they're kind of like morally judging me. So there's a little bit of tension there. But it could work for science, like if you're in a scientific field, medicine, academia, having all white branding could be just the ticket for you. But if you do a lot of like emotional storytelling, trauma healing, and you want something more warm and you want people to feel like you're not judging them, you want something cozier, then maybe you don't want to do that. Green is associated with healing. Hitt and Mayer did a study in 2014 in the annual review of psychology, and they found that green is associated with restoration, balance, health. If Maha is a brand, they did all green. That's their signature color. Institute, they're green. And that was strategic, I'm sure. But it needs to be paired with contextually with other kind of healing colors like natural tones, earth tones, natural textures, because there's a difference between like nature green and healing and earth and neon green. Like that can actually increase stress instead of calm the nervous systems. So this idea of your signature color, you can see how it makes a difference in people's snap judgments on you. They don't think about it. They are judging you and they're not going to reflect on if they're judging you or not. They're just going to make a split-second decision, yes or no, is this person for me or not? And if you can show up consistently, that will help tremendously in your credibility, in your trustworthiness. And I just encourage you to take a moment, take a day and like think about what your signature color is and then implement it into your content creation strategy. Implement it right along with your headshots or anything else that you're doing and weave in your signature color, because brands with consistent color use were perceived as more trustworthy and competent, even if the color itself wasn't preferred. So people trust consistency over aesthetics. A mediocre color used relentlessly is better than a perfect color used inconsistently. This is very important for you as a personal brand. So men should use fewer colors because men who use too many colors, their authority is dampened. Have like a neutral too. Like everybody needs their own neutral. People use the word millennial gray. Yeah, I hate millennial gray. I'm a millennial, but you do need a neutral. So figure that one out. And let me take you through some of my favorite examples of signature colors. This is Blair Richards. Look at hers. Okay, do you see that she has this beautiful cream? The cream matches the wall, and then that's her neutral. And then this pop of color, where'd it go? That beautiful burgundy, I think, is very feminine and it's just calming and it's luxurious. And her brand is all about luxury. How I made $3 million at 26 years old. Now, if we go to Jamie C, she's got it's a very similar kind of burgundy, a little bit different. And then her neutral is that kind of cream. And her color palette is very rich, warm autumns. And if you go to her YouTube channel, she really understands this. And she has that like burgundy brown, chocolate brown as her color. And the palette, she has this like burnt orange couch. It all works together. She shows up consistently. And I think she figured this out more recently. So her more recent videos are using this. But I think it's beautiful and she gets it. Now, a man who utilizes what we just talked about with blue is Andrew Huberman. So the black is power and seriousness, and the blue is that trustworthiness. And then he uses a lot of black and white, and he's all about science. He's a neuroscientist at Stanford. He's he interviews serious people working in science and technology, a lot of doctors and researchers. So it's a very serious topic. So black and white is good. And then that blue is the pop of color. And he has been consistent with this for a long time. He understands the psychology of color probably more than anybody because he's a neuroscientist. And look how he shows up. He's got a signature look. you know when it's one of his videos or any deviation from this any deviation from this is off brand. So he's got a very consistent look, and he has this model within the frame. He goes back and forth, back and forth. His whole YouTube channel is like a checkerboard. Very, very, very strong personal brand, Andrew Huberman. Billie Eilish, of course, the music industry has known about signature colors for a long time. And Billie Eilish in that lime green is historic. I mean, she owns this color for the most part. It started with her hair that I don't think anybody has ever seen before, having lime green roots like this. And then she took it to wardrobe. She took it to all her photo shoots, the background, the merchandise. Here's a green background. I mean, she took this all the way, and she owns this color. And she can deviate from it now, but there was like a historic campaign. There's her album in vinyl, shoes, the whole thing. She just owns this color. I don't really like this color, but it says something about who she is and what she stands for. It's a little bit punk rock. It's rebellious. It's a nonconformist. It's not traditionally feminine. And she was asserting herself as like, I'm not going to be a traditional pop star. Olivia Rodrigo is very feminine, and she chose this kind of lavender purple as her signature color. Again, the music industry does this in a very profound way. So here's Olivia Rodrigo's album with lavender purple band-aids being the only color that pops from the artwork. And she's photographed again and again and again in purple. She's got a purple guitar, purple furry cowboy hat, purple vinyl record, like a car with purple lighting on it. She owns this color. And there's chaperone with red, so chaperone has, well, she does not, maybe it's not child appropriate that I do chaperone photos, but basically my point is figure out your signature color. What do you want people to feel? Warm, trustworthy, natural, approachable, soft, strong, and serious. Figure that out. Weave it everywhere, and let me know in the comments what color you picked. Share your YouTube channel or your social media with us so that we can see. Thank you for being a part of this. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Tell me what more videos you want to see in terms of personal branding. And thanks so much.